Hello, welcome back to Bamm Bamm Raw TV. Now, I just want to address this that I know I've been out like a year and a half after doing 27 years in federal penitentiary, and 18 of those that I spent in the Supermax. And I've been out here trying to reach some of our youth and our communities and try to give back to the community based on what I feel like I deserve that I should do for the community. But I understand that a lot of you G's, a lot of you youngsters, a lot of you young men, when I got incarcerated, taken off the streets in '94, some of y'all wasn't even born now. So, and for me to be talking to y'all about situations, I feel like in order for y'all to truly understand my testimony, then I should give it to let y'all know what I've been through. And me, I'm gonna give it to you raw. I'm gonna tell you the situations about penitentiary, share some other stories going on, and I'm gonna start with this. And a lot of people answering one of the things people always ask me, who is the most infamous people that I have been around during my 27 years in the federal penitentiary. Now about that, I would have to address it and say that is up to opinion and subjective to opinion, because you ask any individual, and depending on what city he come from, the most infamous person to him may be that person out of his city. You ask another individual, the most infamous person may be out of his neighborhood, or most individuals think they most infamous person in their own mind, they are that person. So, I'm gonna go by what the media has deemed as being infamous and the one that they have put the spotlight on, and we'll go from there. But I will start off with my route through the federal penitentiary. And I'll start out like this. As being incarcerated in '94, I started off in I never been to FCI. I started off in USP Florence, Colorado. I left USP Florence, Colorado, and I was shipped to USP Leavenworth. I left USP Leavenworth, and I was shipped to USP Supermax Marion. I left Supermax Marion, and I was shipped to USP Pollock. I left USP Pollock, and I was shipped to USP Lewisburg. I left USP Lewisburg, I was shipped to USP Canaan. I left USP Canaan, and I was shipped to USP Hazleton. And when I left USP Hazleton, I was sent back to USP Lewisburg, which at that time had been turned to a special management unit, SMOO. So I left SMOO Lewisburg, and I was transferred to ADX, Supermax ADX. And so that was my route through the system. Been to 7 penitentiary USPs, and I've been to 2 Supermax, and I've been to 1 hospital, FCC Hospital, Federal Correctional Hospital. And all right, in my travels, I've met a host of infamous people from all different areas, and there's so many of them that I had to. I wrote down a few that I knew, and we're not so big on names in the penitentiary, because if you don't know a person's name, then you don't know his story. But we don't dig looking for information concerning nobody. You run across it, good going on, but you don't go out the way looking for this here. But I met a lot of men who would fall under the category of being infamous, and media have them doing that way. And thing about a person being infamous is that's infamous, and it's not in a positive manner as seen by society. So when you say a person is infamous, that means it could be it could be a range of things, but that's what society deem them as infamous, known for doing something negative, or anti-positive. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try to lay out a few of these people, some that you know, and it's gonna be some that I'll mention as I go on further with my stories, that the people in that city or in that particular state would know them, but you wouldn't know them. All of them I couldn't list and everything, so I just put down a few of them, probably the most known ones that you may have idea about it. And I got pictures, I got correspondence, I got different things that we share with each other. I've sit down and talked with many of them. Some of them we were just on the compound together, said a few words to each other. But I didn't fool with everyone from a particular place, but I fooled with most of the solid men and the top men from a particular place, because they respected me and I respected them. all over, from every race to every area, to whatever. You know, you respect me, I respected you. So I'm gonna go through these names, and I want to get all these things. We trying to get a lot of these things done, and we trying to get this project set off and try to get it in order, try to get it processed, because with medical things that going on with my eyes right now, we don't even know if if I'm gonna lose my sight based on what the doctor's saying. It could be possible that it could be possible. I pray and believe God that it's not gonna happen. But there's been conversation about my eyes getting worse and then not being able to reverse the glaucoma, and it seemed to be steady deteriorating. So we're gonna move on from that, and we're gonna try to get as much done toward Bamm Bamm Raw TV and any other informative thing that we can do for y'all and for the community. But we're gonna give you the story. We're gonna give you the true hard stories as it is. I'm gonna give you the stories as my mindset was back then. As despite the way I have changed and the things that I try to do now positive, I'm going to actually give you the mindset of myself, or the individuals in which who I was talking to, or the individuals who I was moving with or doing whatever. I'm going to give you that exact feeling, that exact emotion, that exact story at that time. I'm not going to embellish, but I'm not going to take nothing away from it. I'm going to give it to you raw and straight. So I want to start by naming some of the individuals that you may know that I've been around, and it's gonna be a little uncomfortable, but all right. I'll start with my men from DC, and we got Wayne Perry, aka Silk. All right, me and him, we became very close, and we corresponded with each other, became very close, and like I said, you know him from the Alpo individual and the movie Paid in Full in DC. You know, he's very, very infamous, and allegedly committed a lot of murders, heinous murders or whatever going on. But that's my man. I fool with him. We got along very well and talked and kicked it with each other on a regular basis. I got again from DC, and we got Teflon Sean. I seen him on a couple of podcasts, and he doing this thing going on. Me and him was in Supermax Marrying together. Also, I got photos, and we kick it together, and we got a good relationship, and he's a solid man, and we got stories. We've been around each other, so and I move on, and I wish him the best in the thing that he's doing, and like I say, he always been a sharp dude. Okay, next we got Malik Thomas, which he would be considered. They allegedly him and Anton White was Rayford Edwards enforcers. Allegedly Rayford Edwards enforcer. If you look Rayford Edwards up, you understand about DC, and basically go our way. He was infamous for his drug activities and everything, and his story go on down a little further. But I was in ADX with Malik Thomas, and I was in two penitentiaries with Anton White. All right, we'll move on to my homeboys out of Louisiana. We got Meatball out of New Orleans, Louisiana. You'll know him. He's considered to be in the big case with Glenn Metz, and it's called the Glenn Metz conspiracy and the Metz brothers. But if you'll probably know him by his hip hop. In the hip hop song, Master P got a song called his Ghetto Heroes. He said, my ghetto heroes is Meatball and the Metz brothers. Well, me and Meatball was at two penitentiaries together. We was at USP Florence, and we was at Supermax ADX, and that's a good friend of mine. You also have Nate Dot from that way, which is Baby mentioned him in the song. Say I dot y'all like Nate Dot. He had himself a pretty good run down there, and a pretty good infamous name. And you can move on where you probably see some of the documentaries done on the Cut Boys, who kind of filled in after those individuals taken off the street. And the Cut Boys, I was locked up with a few of them. One particular I was locked up with and became close friends with, and we kicked it. That was Pee Wee, and so he went home, and that's a good. I got pictures of him, good homeboy of mine, and I fool with him 100%. Now we want to move on to New York. We move on to New York. You got Big Mass Azar. He allegedly got 6 or 7 bodies going back and forth from North Carolina to New York, and he was a 5%er, very knowledgeable man. With my celly for a little while down in USP Leavenworth, a good friend of mine and solid man. And we got some stories. He got some knowledge and some stories and everything. But he's a good dude. Now he's known. You got King Tut, which Walter Johnson, and King Tut is he's most infamous for he was doing his thing out there. He beat up charge against killing a police officer at a barber shop, but he ended up getting caught up. Most infamous for his most thing that he's most known for is allegedly robbing and shooting Tupac in the elevator when he was up in New York and everything. They actually took him back to court on it and actually tried to try him on it, but he ended up, I think he walked on that, and ended up going to jail for racketeering. Me and him was at 2 penitentiaries together. We was at Lewisburg and we was at Leavenworth together. Good man, solid man, good. We used to sit down and talk a lot too. You know, I like talking and building with good men. Now we can move on. You got Pappy Mason, and you got Pappy Mason out of New York, and you got Freddie Krueger out of New York. And these men they are known to the New York area, and they known for their business and everything. So now okay, moving on. You got Chicago, our Illinois man. You got Larry Hoover, which was the leader of the GD. You got Jeff Ford, which was leader of the L Rookins, and go by his name Elite now, but you know. And you got Malachi Green, L Rookin, a high-ranking L Rookin going on. We was all at several penitentiaries together, and like I said again, they men's are full with honor. You got Willie Falcon and Sam Magluto. Now, me and Willie was at Lewisburg together. Me and Sam was at Supermax Marion and Supermax ADX together. Sam is still presently incarcerated. Willie went home, but they are most known for, in Florida, they called them the Cocaine Cowboys because they were distributing so much cocaine. And if you look it up, the case, they got it out of Florida called the Cocaine Cowboys. Got my man C Murder and Tig. They was the Miami boys out of Florida, and they had a nice little setup going on. C Murder, my man ended up catching a life sentence for killing a guy while he was in there. That's a story into itself. But moving on, we also got, in the era of infamous people, we will have my man Dana. He's kind of overlooked, but he's a solid man, and he probably be most known for he's a Polynesian out of Hawaii, and while he was over there, they kept putting him around his rivals and different rivals, and he was focused on working on his case, and they continued to do so. And he finally ended up in, as the newspaper article I read showed, that he killed the guy, took the guy's guts out of his stomach and put him all around him, then got in front of the camera and was screaming to the police, "This what you wanted? This what you effing wanted? This what you wanted?" Going on. So they shipped him over to the Fed system from Hawaii. I actually got to see his work myself down in USP Leavenworth, and he gave a guy a particular opportunity to move on forward, and he didn't. And he punished him, and he definitely about his work. He quiet, low profile man, mature dude, but he's about his work. Now we can talk about, you got Skip and Corny, two high-ranking men of the North Indians, and they Mexican group. They very, very, very solid men, low key and very, very solid. Matter of fact, me and Skip, Sheldon, we was in USP Pollock when he ended up catching another body while in the system, allegedly killed his celly down there. Then we got the Serranios. I knew Serio. We was in USP Lewisburg and Willie Boy, and they was calling it for the yard for that particular group at that time and everything. And I mean, I had a rapport with them and much respect for them. Now you got Leonard Politier. Now he was me and him was at two penitentiaries together, USP Lewisburg and USP Leavenworth, and he's most infamous for killing two federal agents at the Second Battle of Wounded Knee. when military bases come there and tried to disarm him, and he was a high speaking man for the AIM, American Indian Movement, and he matter of fact, when we was in Leavenworth together, when I worked laundry, I did his clothes to try to make him look presentable when he went for the commission of Silence, because when Hillary Clinton was running for office in New York, they opened the opportunity. President Clinton, they gave President Clinton the community his sentence, which he did not do it. And but I say he was a good man, solid. He stood on what he believed in. Me, him, and Louis used to do the Black August thing together down at the chapel. Now Louis is one of the Puerto Rican Liberation Nation or Puerto Rican Liberation Party. They was college guys and they was college students, and they was going around. They felt like the military bases over on Puerto Rico was endangering them, they people, when America was getting into it with Cuba. Since Puerto Rico was closer to Cuba than America was, they felt like Puerto Rico, but Cuba would strike them first and everything. So it felt like they was endangering their people with all those bases over there. So they went around and started throwing bombs in there and started trying to blow up the army bases and everything. But on the same thing, Hillary Clinton, while she was running for office in New York, President Clinton actually did commute all their sentences and sent those individuals home. We talked and we did a lot of things together. He's part of the Black August with us. He's very conscious brother, short of stature, just like me. Then you got Charlie Harrison, which is Woody Harrison daddy, the actor Woody Harrison daddy. Me and him was in Springfield together, the hospital. He was getting, had a compound fracture on my ankle, and he was getting had an infection in the nose and an ear infection. He was getting surgery done on that, and we just called him the ice cream man because he loved to buy everyone ice cream, and the folks used to always come talk to him. The officers always asking him, was Woody gonna come to see him and this and that, but he was charged with allegedly killing a federal judge, or at least having a hit put on a federal judge. But unfortunately he died. But we just come out in the yard and we was talking to red cages and everything. Very, very knowledgeable older guy and everything. I like him. He had a good heart, and you know what I'm saying. So I do miss him and going on. But we miss a lot of these men because they, everybody got a good side to them. So no matter what kind of acts they done, it's more to them than acts they did. That don't just define them. You got El Chapo, and El Chapo, he was down in ADX, and when they brought him there, they cleared out E-range, but we thought they had cleared it out for another reason. But they put him on E-range, and I was over there with one of his lieutenants, Freddie, who they could see him when he go to wreck and going on. So they was talking sign language and everything, and we relay our regards and everything. And Freddie, he signed my birthday card, and me and him used to, we used to talk and kick it a little bit. He don't speak too much English, but now Arturo is Arturo, as we call him. That is one of El Chapo's rivals over there. Me and him was in ADX Supermax also, and as a rival El Chapo, it's alleged that I think Arturo got 10 life sentences, but in the process he killed a federal agent in the process of their war. But the understanding is allegedly that him and El Chapo, when they was beefing against each other, El Chapo will find 20 of Toure mans, and he'll kill them and stretch him out on the streets. And then so Toure go around and find 25 of El Chapo mans, kill them and stretch him out on the street. And they were going back and forth with you kill my dog, I kill your cat, as a form of disrespect thing. But I used to work out with Toure, and he was a good man. Didn't speak much English neither. But we did the sign language. We had a mutual sign language. So down there, most of us talking sign language because the red cages on the inside are soundproof. So you really can't talk to nobody through that. We won't be able to hear you. So you have to use sign language. Then we can move on to Sheikh Jerry Lewis Bay, which was the Muslim Moors that was down in Missouri. And I think they had like 7 murders, and they got them for racketeering and crime spree and racketeering and everything. And me and Jerry Lewis Bay, we was in USP Leavenworth together for like almost 5 years. And me and him, we got together on some things. I always did talk, and we settled some stuff together, and we aided each other in some situations. So, and we can go on to, we can take it to King Blood. We got King Blood, which was Louis Felipe, and he was down in Supermax ADX. He basically was sentenced there and kept there, and they keep him on phone monitoring. He got limited phone connection. He got limited people he could write because he allegedly was sending hits out the prison system over the phone that was in New York, and they was killing his King Blood enforcer was killing all the people supposed to be informants. They was chopping them up, burning them up in bathtub, killing them, chopping them up, putting them behind butcher shops and everything like that. And one of the alleged enforcers for him was Bosco, which that's another partner of mine. I was in the Supermax Marion with Bosco, got photos and stuff and everything. He was a solid man and everything. He was out of Puerto Rico, but we got along real good. We talked, and I made a stand with him, as you'll see in some of his correspondence to me and everything. There we can go to Baltimore. We got Baltimore, we got the infamous Anthony Johnson, AJ. He had a little crew, and they was putting in work. I mean, they was dropping. I mean, allegedly they was dropping bodies and going on. So he ended up getting convicted and with racketeering, with murders and everything. But he, like me, he got eye issues and everything. So me and him one of very few in the federal system that was walking around with shades on the inside of the units and inside our cell. You also have Rock, which is Perry Rock, which was the leader and creator of the Dead Man Incorporated in Dead Man Inc. in Baltimore. And he ended up getting caught up for racketeering. They was doing murders and stuff out of jail, sending people going on. He started it with a guy named Sweeney, and I met Sweeney briefly, but me and Rock was on the range almost a year together, and we fooled each other and everything, Big cock-strong white boy, you know what I'm saying? Love to joke, you know what I'm saying? Happy go dude, I think he killed 2 sellers, since he probably killed about 2 sellers. But he's happy-go-lucky, good dude, man. He just, sometimes people can push the wrong buttons. So we can move on there. You got Eric Rudolph, the Olympic Park bomber, and the one out of North Carolina that was on the run for up in the mountains and everything. He's still a mountain man. He military minded. Me and him had a lot of debates. We go out there, discuss things and debate, because I was a street dude, so we see things from 2 different angles and everything. I actually had to get him some medical attention for platys fasciitis, whatever that is, which his foot was injured, and he all night he over there howling like a sick dog or a wolf, and it was keeping me up. So what I did was told the people that if they don't get him, because you cannot involve yourself in another inmate situation unless it actually affects you. And I was telling him I wasn't able to sleep with the noise that he was making over there, and they need to get him some medical attention since he wouldn't act for it. And if they didn't, I wasn't nobody gonna be able to count me in my cell. So I was gonna block up and make it hard for him to count at night. So they went over there and got him the medical attention he need, and then we can move on to Thomas Silverstein. Thomas Silverstein was white Aryan brother in the brand, and he allegedly killed his first black dude to get his brand in the Aryan down in Marion. In fact, Silverstein is the one that turned Marion from USP Marion to Supermax Marion, because it was open then. And him and Cadillac, him and DC and Aryan brothers, because they always have been a large quantity of them. Aryan brothers, a large quantity of DC, because everything in DC is federal, and the Italians there. But as far as people like us from the South and these little towns, until the feds started messing with these little crack cases and making them conspiracies and stuff like that, we wasn't deep in the federal system. We were little known in the federal system. So they had been this battle go on, this beef been going on for years and years, but it definitely got got the fire put on it when Cadillac and Silverstein was beefing with each other through the bars and everything. And Silverstein got his guys together and they cut through the fences, came out when Cadillac was going through the shower, and they killed Cadillac. When they killed Cadillac, they killed the police too, but they drug Cadillac back and forth in front of the DC guy's cell and was pissing on him the whole time as a sign of disrespect. And later on, he killed a couple of more people. Then this guy Dave killed a couple of people. So finally, I think he amassed about 5 murders before they finally took him, and they locked down Marion and turned it to a Supermax, but they shipped him to USP Leavenworth, because ADX hadn't been built at that time. So they shipped him to USP Leavenworth. When they shipped him to USP Leavenworth, they built a special cell that cost $1 million to build, and they built it on the back of the chute in Leavenworth. So I had the chance to talk to him a few times when we was on the phone. He was trying to put money on the phone. I talked to him, then I kind of talked to another little homeboy to let him use the phone at a time that he really needed to use it, where the police had gave the phone to one of my homeboys and everything. But later on, when me and him was at ADX Supermax, we was on the range when they was clearing out all the range and stuff. Me and him being on Sam at one time, and over on control unit status, they put us we was in the shoe together while they was doing the range, because me and him had to be behind. Me and him and some of the others of our level, we have to be behind 2 doors at all times. You can't put us behind 1 door. So based on the security level we had. So he was on the range, and that's when I got to talk to him and remind him who I was. And when we had talked, and he remembered our conversation and everything. Me and him we talked a little bit and everything, and he explained to me that he had became a Buddhist, and he was a Buddhist now, and he doing some. His art was wonderful. I sent some cards home, and I got him to do a little small picture for me and everything. But it just it's kind of sad, because I think he entered the system. Well, it's sad for a lot of the good men, but he entered the system with, I think, 12 or 15 years, and he ended up catching life sentence, and he ended up being one of the longest men in isolation, I think, in the Fed to this day. And like I say, it's not just, that's a common theme in the federal system. That's why it's important for some of the men listening who, if you're living a life where you think you're going to end up in federal penitentiary, if you got a loved one in federal penitentiary, some of this information that I'm going to be talking about and giving my stories is important on not only what to avoid, but how to handle things. Because a lot of men, you got Lala, murder, I can name a few dudes, Babyface, I can name a few dudes that went in there with 10 years and 15 years and got a life sentence for catching a body, either over wrong association and they had to make a move, or misunderstanding of a situation that they could have been handled different. You got men I know a guy, Double T, he was almost out the door. He was out the door, he had 3 months to go home. He ended up getting into it with his cell and killed himself. So it's very volatile in there, because it's a psychological thing, and the feds put everybody in groups. They force you in a group whether you want to be in there or not. If you come there and you from any part of the South, they're gonna put you with the dirty South dudes. If you're from Illinois, they're gonna either put you with the GDs or call you a GD sympathizer. So they put everybody in categories because it's easy to deal with them that way. So you end up stuck with people whether you want to be with them or not, and it could be dangerous. And then not only that, you got good men that then got killed. You got Fishbone got killed out of Cali. You got Yank out of DC got killed, and you got a few men that I knew that lost their life down there in the system. So coming home ain't guaranteed to you, cause average person around you ain't got nothing to lose. You got the dude who strangled the dude and took the floss and cut the head off. Cut the dude's head off while he was in the cell. And then we got my homie Jesse. He out of Jesse Wilson. He probably you can look him up if you Google him. He the one in Mississippi. He's out of New Orleans, but in Mississippi, a guy was turning him through the bars and everything, and they tunned him, so he slipped he fixed it, and he had, he fixed it. He come out there, allegedly, he come out there, Jimmy, and stabbed dude to death with a homemade spoon. And that's how he ended up coming down to Supermax ADX. He had knew of me. I didn't know him at the time, but he had knew of me, had been hearing about me everywhere he went. He had been hearing about me, so we got real tight. He's a good man, solid, real hyper. But he Muslim now, and his name Talib, but Jesse Wilson is his government name. And it's so many other different people that I have to write it down. I have to try to take time and remember them, so that when I start telling my stories, I like to give you more information on the individual, in which may be included in my story or present at the time or what on. Like you got my old head out of Florida, John Bailey. He hits me up on Facebook. Good man, just gave back 6 life sentences and 9 30-year consecutive sentences going on. Never cried or wept down there. Good educated, good solid businessman. Always had good advice for the youngsters. Always was honorable in his move. People respected him, and we respected him, and people moved for him, and people respected the way he moved and the way he looked out for people and everything. So we had big kudos to him, man, and he's out here on the street now, thank God. It's only by the grace of God that I'm out here. So that's why I want to try to give y'all the information too, because I caught more time in the system, and I want to try to give y'all the information to avoid making a mistake. Even though God still blessed me to come out here, I want to give y'all the tools to still remain strong in there. Understand that I was a dude that I'm telling you, I'm a dude. I got over 200 incident reports show you that I was a dude who about my business in there. Ain't the system didn't break me. Things just don't make sense no more to me in that particular thing. Giving up, having somebody wake you up, telling you what to eat, doing this and going on, being around dudes all, hollering back and forth on the range, beating them. It's not a place that if a man got to give up this freedom out here for that, and the opportunity to have money for 5 years until you get caught, and they're gonna take everything that they can, and they're gonna send you down for either life sentence or whatever. And when you add it up, the mathematics just don't add up. But again, I'm gonna give you the stories and the things I did, and the things with the entertainment value. It'll be an amount of entertainment value to it, but it's gonna be factional. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna be factional, and the stories is in my trial transcripts. There's in the incident reports I got and everything. And I'm not trying to intimidate it or scare anybody or say that I was this or that. I'm just gonna give you the facts according to how I live and how it moves in that federal penitentiary. And hopefully, God forbid, I don't want nobody to go there. But hopefully, if you do go there, you have some idea of how to move, what to avoid, and what's to move hard on, what to give a different thought to than now. Because if nobody hadn't told me, if somebody may have gave me some from federal prison 101, I may could have avoided a lot of mistakes that I jumped head into that I had to continue on with once I got to another place. Because you can start out, and you can start out in such a manner that you're gonna have to keep living up to it. You come out in there, you start out with a manner with a reputation and everything. You're gonna get different places and going on. People are gonna expect that out of you, and you are not gonna want to let the people down, and you're not gonna want to make nobody think that you're gonna turn soft. So you basically, it's like a catch-22. You're damned if you do, damned if you don't. So, like I said, prayerfully, the information I give you and the stories that I give you be entertaining, and the information I give you could help you see to avoid this, or you can kind of have an idea what some of your loved ones may be going through, and take heed of if they do have a situation going on, they feel like the staff or somebody is abusing them or doing something like that. Trust me, it's a good possibility it happened. I was tortured for 45 days and then some. But we have to look at the scale of things right now. We got all these different officers are getting caught with, because it's a billion cameras out here now. And you're only catching a few officers doing these different things and going on. So now imagine you being in a situation with CO correctional officers who actually, some of them are there because they failed the actual test to be able to be a psychological test to be able to be a police officer on the streets. So now you got that particular individual there, and this individual here is in control of the cameras. No cameras can. He in control of the cameras. He in control of the written documents and everything. But yet still, you still have cases come out there. And it was 5 dudes killed right there at the Smoot that I was part in. My lawsuit was part in shutting down. So if they call you and they say they got some concerns about their safety, because they killed a little guy from Mississippi a little bit before I left. He had Prince. He had 1 year left. Wasn't no little guy. Was a big guy, but I called him little because he was a youngster. But it's real. It's for real. So if they tell you they got some concerns about that, please call down there. Have somebody check on them. Let somebody know that. Let the people know that these people got they got somebody out there that care about them. And you may save their life with a few phone calls by checking in on them and letting people know that it's gonna be some question answer if your son don't come home, or if your husband don't come home, or if your brother don't come home. You see what I'm saying? So I mean, I'm gonna close it up for now, and I'm gonna try to bring you some, like I tell again, some entertaining stories. They're gonna be raw. They're gonna be straight, exactly the way I felt, the way the situation was, the teaching or whatever of that moment. And they're gonna be, I hope you enjoy them, but I also hope you learn something from them. All right, then. I enjoyed talking to y'all. Y'all take care. Love you.